Hello. Maybe it's due to the time of year, because people are filling out their CAO forms, maybe after the whole Christmas, New Year resolution buzz that people are thinking, where am I going in my life? Do I want to make changes? But a lot of people have been getting in touch with me asking me, how did I know that medicine was the right thing for me to do and to go on such a different career path? And I'm not sure I know why, but I can give you my version of events of why I think medicine might be a good career for you, and it's up to you then to decide whether that's the path you want to pursue or not. First of all, I did spend over 10 years working as a professional communicator. I still do it for a living to pay the bills. Those medical school fees, they ain't cheap. And I think a lot of that is still transfers and is very transferable for medicine. So that'd be my first thing. One of the big ways for you to know if medicine is for you is if you like people. If you don't like people, don't do it. People may say, oh, I'll become a pathologist or microbiology. You still have to talk to people. Both those professions really do talk to people, and in really serious situations like pathologists stage terrible diseases, they give evidence in courts, for example, and microbiologists, what we've seen with the coronavirus, how busy they are these days. So if you think that talking to people isn't for you, but you're still into the whole medical sciences, there's so much you can do: medical engineering, drugs, devices, research. So look into those ideas. It's not just becoming a doctor anymore, because it is so patient and person focused. Everyone is talking all the time. You're talking to patients, you're talking to their families, you're talking to other doctors, you're talking to other healthcare professionals. A huge portion of our marks goes for us to be able to stand up and very briefly say, this patient came in complaining of this, this and this. She had this, this and this in the background. This is her situation. These are the drugs. This is what I think she has. And then say, what do you think we do there? And be able to give that out in a few minutes, less even if it's an emergency scenario. So if you're not comfortable in that kind of situation or those kind of conversations, it probably isn't for you. And I see it does put a lot of people under stress, especially maybe those who are a bit younger, who aren't used to kind of social interactions in a way that I or older students would be. So do think about that carefully. If you don't want to spend your whole day talking, maybe think about something else. Number two, if you're motivated by money, don't be going into medicine. We all hear the big stereotypes about the consultants driving around their Jags, throwing money out the window if they can, if they want to. In reality, that's not the case. You spend a fortune getting that degree, especially if it's a graduate degree, or if you're being educated outside Ireland or the EU, it costs a lot of money. I'm spending a hell of a lot of money every year on fees, something like in around €17,000, and that's before I put any food in my belly, paid for this roof over my head or anything else. So I got to pay that back at some point, and I'll be paying it back when I'm working. I was very lucky to have some savings to help, but a lot of people don't have that, so you really need to be sure you're not motivated by money when you're going into medicine. Once we start, as far as I know, you can actually go into the HSE website and check out all the pay scales. I think I'll be earning in around €37,000 if I'm lucky in my first intern year. That ain't no money bags. I know kids straight out of college, out of 2 or 3 year degrees, who are earning that. I was earning a hell of a lot more of that where I was in my first industry, but it probably wasn't making me happy or fulfilling me. So if money is your motivator, do not be going into medicine. You can go into accountancy, stockbroking, computers, software, all that kind of stuff, medical devices, pharmacy. They all make a hell of a lot more money than doctors. Now I know the day will come when you progress up through the ladder, you do earn more and more, opportunities for overtime come in, opportunities for other things, and eventually doctors do become quite comfortable. But I think really for the money you're making, the responsibility you're also taking on for that money, I'm not sure they weigh up, especially at the start. So that's another big thing. If you're doing this thinking you're going to have money, accept that you might someday really, 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 really far away. And that brings me on to my next point, really, really far away. Chances are, if you're thinking of doing medicine, you want to do a specialty, you will have to travel. So if traveling's not for you, again, think about, you know, is this the career I want? I know a lot of people will have planned to go off to the UK, the US, Canada, Australia to make some bank. First of all, to pay back for those fees, also to have working conditions that they feel is conducive to help them progress through the ladder maybe quicker. If they have specific career paths in mind, it might be quicker to go overseas and get it done and maybe then come back to your qualification. So that's another thing as well, just to keep in mind. And then people ask, what about the workload? If you're interested in it, like, yeah, some days it's torture, some days it's really, really hard. But if you're interested and if you enjoy it, like I'm going through some stuff here now, it's pretty easy to do because you're learning, and you realise very quickly once you're out in the wards and stuff, the information you've been learning is quite relevant, and you learn very quickly as well. That stuff you've been learning, you need to know to keep people alive. So that focuses the mind. But if that's not for you, it's going to create a huge amount of pressure. And that's my final point. It is a pressurised job. Every day patients are coming in. Now it's not like ER. or Grey's Anatomy. They're not coming in, you know, with their big electric stuff going clear with every patient who comes in, and you have to make a split-second decision straight away, or, you know, numerous people will die. Thankfully, it's not like that, but it can be at times, I've been told. And as well as that, lots of mini decisions. Like, we've seen so many medical inquests over the years where things have gone wrong out of one kind of small minor decision, and that creating a trickle-down effect, ultimately reaching a point where a patient dies or is very severely injured. And that takes its toll. So if you don't think that kind of pressure is for you, or you don't think you can thrive under pressure, and some people don't, some people do, like I love a deadline, that's not for everyone. You need to decide, is that what you want yourself? I just think too many people get their 9 million points, their CAO or their SATs or whatever UCAS, whatever type of points system you have or scoring system, wherever you are in the world, and people think, oh, you got maximum points or near enough, go be a doctor. Just because the points are high doesn't mean it's for you. There's plenty of other opportunities, and the beauty of it is, if you've managed to get a lot of points in your life, your options are endless. And the beauty now of graduate med is that you can come back. Sometimes I do tell people, if you're a bit young, a bit unsure, try something else first, and if you still have that itch, that's probably a good sign, and then come back. But be motivated by empathy, be motivated because you know you have good emotional intelligence, be motivated by the fact that you mightn't be the smartest person in the class anywhere, but you're motivated enough to work hard. I certainly amn't near top of the class. That does not to say I don't work as hard as everyone else. In fact, I probably work a lot harder than most just to keep up with the pack, but I'm motivated by my desire to learn and to someday, please God, I'll become a good doctor. I don't know if this is any help to you. It would have been helpful to me. It would have helped me kind of cement my decision, and I think it explains sometimes why some people, even if they do pass, kind of drop away from it. It probably just wasn't for them. A bit like probably working in hard news and current affairs wasn't for me. Sinead, thanks a million for joining me. Chat soon.